When you pretend to know something about hell, you need to use the tourist's paradox. Is it not better for you to know the place where you are going? Divine Comedy, Blade Runner.
There are more coincidences than you might think.
Dante Alighieri, Ridley Scott.
A New Vision of Hell. From Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy to Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. The rationale behind the use of both words and voice in this presentation is to cater to individuals who are either deaf or hard of hearing, yet able to read. These were probably not the thoughts the director expected me to have, but sometimes works of art escape our conscious intentions and reveal deeper, more involuntary thoughts. More interesting.
Part 1. A necessary explanation.
It is important to remember that the Divine Comedy was written symbolically in a metaphorical language. This could mean that it is possible to fit any interpretation into the poem. However, the director-researcher tried to avoid this easy trap by looking for the interpretation closest to the poem and justifying his choice. Blade Runner, on the other hand, is also full of symbolic images and metaphors. It was the analysis of these two works that led to this documentary. We must say that Blade Runner is vaguely based on the novel by P.K. Dick. This doesn't diminish the value of the film and even the book, but they are two distinct works. P.K. Dick is the most intriguing and prolific American writer of scientific fiction. Ridley Scott legated to us a great piece of art to the history of cinema.
Scott's self-described technique of building up a dense, kaleidoscopic accretion of detail within every frame and set of a film. To me, Scott said when this author interviewed him in 1980, a film is like a 700-layer cake. How this presentation works. Coincidences. After the initial red image, a Gustave Doré illustration or an adaptation thereof is provided. This constitutes a reference to Dante's poem. The third image is a reference that we find in Blade Runner to compare with the Divine Comedy. The presence of a purple or orange image. Explain the existence of a relationship between the image, the film, or in Divine Comedy.
A purple or orange background indicates something is important. This could be a sign of a noteworthy relationship with the film or with the commedia. This makes the work more interesting to understand or think about. It is important to note the discrepancy between the synchronicity of the timelines of Divine Comedy and Blade Runner. This is due to the fact that the primary objective of this study is to examine coincidences rather than the timeline.
The Divine Comedy is a 14th century work, while Blade Runner is a 20th century one. Despite the 704-year separation between the two, there are more coincidences than one might initially assume. When these coincidences are taken together, they form a compelling body of evidence.
From a fictional perspective, Dante's Divine Comedy can be regarded as a science fiction text. Dante utilizes his extensive knowledge of science to describe his journey, which is depicted as a narrative account of his travels to the three realms of the afterlife: hell, purgatory, and enlightened paradise.
Divine Comedy combined the greatest part of the knowledge of the Middle Ages. In his poem masterpiece, Dante exposed his vast wisdom of mythology, science, religion, astronomy, and the ancient masters of classical antiquity. The movie Blade Runner begins with a date and a place, November 2019, Los Angeles. Etymologically, November means the 9th month, 3 times 3, but it's actually the 11th. As we know, everything in the Commedia is metaphorical, and Dante has a real obsession with the number 3 and how it unfolds. The reason is the enigmatic religious figure of the Holy Trinity.
In Dante's Inferno, the number 9 holds a pivotal role. It is a representation of the devil's domain and the location of banishment for treacherous souls, signified by the 9 circles. In Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, this setting serves as the backdrop for the film's climactic battle, representing by the 9 sector.
There is only one artist with whom we could compare Dante, Gustave Doré. A comparison of Dante and Doré reveals the former's superiority as an artist. Doré's illustrations, which can be regarded as comparable to Dante's Divine Comedy, serve as a reference point in this documentary.
Part 2, Coincidences. The concept of time is very important in both literature and film. Through the phenomenon of suspension of disbelief, readers and viewers are able to experience a different perception of time in a book or film than they would in reality.
As previously mentioned, Dante's work is characterized by an emphasis on the number 3 and its unfolding. His descent into hell, which spans 3 days, bears a striking resemblance to the experience depicted in Blade Runner. His journey to hell, which takes 3 days, is analogous to the journey in Blade Runner. Many researchers have proposed that Dante and Virgil's journey in hell would have taken 3 days. In his analysis, Jamie Zawinski, one of the creators of Netscape and Mozilla, and a big fan of the film, suggests that Blade Runner took place between November 19th and 22. In an amazing book retrofitting Blade Runner edited by Judith B. Kerman, in an article William M. Kolb made a timeline of the film. The narrative begins in evening of the first day and ends at the dawn in 4th day. So we have 3 days complete.
According to the Bible, Jonah spent 3 days and nights inside a whale. Similarly, it is said that the Son of Man will be in the heart of the earth for 3 days. This is interpreted as referring to 3 days in Inferno.
As a Christian and deeply religious man, Dante has great respect for the biblical description. So the 3 days that Jesus spent in hell is the same time that he spent in hell with Virgil.
The book in which Blade Runner is based on, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, by Philip K. Dick, The city was San Francisco because the main theme was nature and the toxic environment, nature versus artificial pets. San Francisco is the animal's protector. Los Angeles is a fallen angel.
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is a 1968 dystopian science fiction novel by American writer Philip K. Dick. It is set in a post-apocalyptic San Francisco, where Earth's life has been greatly damaged by a nuclear global war, leaving most animal species endangered or extinct. In the context of Greek mythology, the term Hades is often used to denote the underworld.
The image is a Blade Runner Hades etched brass refinery piece, a part of Hades' landscape used at the opening of the film. Natural forest versus concrete jungle. Dante, aware that he has strayed from the right path, finds himself lost in an allegorical, dark forest. We see a dark urban jungle at the beginning of Blade Runner. Opening passages of Dante's Divine Comedy, the poet encounters a mountain in a forest setting, bathed in the last rays of the setting sun. In the opening passages of Hell from Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy, the poet is compelled to confront three animals. In order to progress, Dante must vanquish these beasts, which represent the three primary transgressions of incontinence, violence, and fraud, as personified by the panther, the lion, and the she-wolf, respectively.
Painful living fear, isn't it? Nothing is worse than having an itch you can never scratch.
I agree.
It is interesting to note that in Latin, the word for prostitute is lupa, which is also the term for she-wolf.
The geisha is seen in the West as a version of a prostitute, although not in Japan. Dante makes use of a male lion and a panther, but not a wolf, instead employing a female she-wolf. It would appear that Ridley Scott made a similar choice. For God's sake, where's the panther? A comprehensive search of the film was conducted, and no evidence of panther was found. Really?
We should remember that the scientific name of the lion is Panthera leo, is derived from the Greek words panther and lion, an ancient folk etymology derivation from Greek pan, all, plus their beast, led to many curious fables.
In Blade Runner, at this point, we have identified 3 distinct animals, as we have in Divine Comedy.
Something very curious is the scene, not present in many versions, with Pris in Sebastian's apartment, which is located in Sector 9, playing with a doll. In an image of the giant Antheus, in an illustration of Commedia created by Doré, we can see the same position. The interesting thing is that Antheus helps Dante and Virgil to pass to the 9 circle, as we can see it in Blade Runner, just before the final fight between Deckard and Roy in 9 Sector. We should remember that the 9 circle is reserved to the traitors. Deckard was trading his own kind.
In his book, P.K. Dick does not discuss rain. Instead, he addresses the topic of dust. This represents a significant divergence between the original text and the subsequent script. Ridley's assertion was that it was more straightforward to create a setting with rain than one characterized by dust. However, this alteration aligns closely with the description provided by the poet Dante Alighieri.
Quando 3 ombre insieme si partiro, correndo, una torma che passava sotto la pioggia dell'aspro martiro.
According to Italian teacher Lucrezia Odone, the most frequent word in commedia is I. In Blade Runner, which is evident in the numerous examples of eyes that appear throughout the film. Additionally, the film Blade Runner features a multitude of ocular motifs. These include the scanner eye, a Voigt-Kampff test, the owl, Dr. Tyrrell, the eye factory, eye work, and numerous others.
You've got a little boy. He shows you his butterfly collection.
It is necessary to provide a brief explanation of the yellow box. There is a red brand in Chinese, name which translates as eternity, is of particular significance what Roy is looking for.
In Divine Comedy, Dante meets three blessed ladies, Beatrice, Saint Lucy, and Rachel. Saint Lucy is the eye's protector. It is noteworthy that both the original and revised versions of the Blade Runner script feature Maria. However, during the filming process, her name and character were removed from the final version. In the Commedia, Saint Maria, Rachel, Saint Lucy, and Beatrice hold a meeting. It is not a coincidence that these four characters are together. Maria was in the first script, Saint Lucy is an eye protector, biblical Rachel could not give a birth, and a miracle was needed, and both Rachels died giving a birth.
There's something more incredible. In the very first Blade Runner scripts, Maria's name appears. She was a replicant. In the Commedia, there was a meeting with Maria. She was a hidden subject. Raquel, Saint Lucy, and Beatrice.
We can wonder if American Dream's mom is a reference to Our Lady. In the second circle of hell, Dante and Virgil encounter Minos, a figure who serves as a judge of souls and determines their subsequent fate within the infernal realm. When Dante regains his senses, he finds himself in the third circle, that of the gluttons, lying in the mud under a dirty, incessant rain, and beaten by the monstrous figure of Cerberus. Those who are gluttonous are consigned to the third circle of hell.
Io sono al terzo cerchio della piova eterna, maledetta, fredda e greve. Regola e qualità mai non l'ennova. In the third circle I am, damned eternal rain, icy and heavy in monotonous rhythm precipitates. Gluttony.
Quint circle in hell is the third circle in Commedia, which is reserved for sinners of gluttony. The character Rick Deckard awaits his call to take a seat and eat. The chef calls him over and requests 4 pieces of a specific food. However, the chef only allows 2. Deckard persists, but the chef firmly denies his request. This exemplifies the gluttonous nature of the character.
Recreational facility, easy adventure, plus a loyal, trouble-free companion given to you upon arrival absolutely free.
No, 4. 2, 4. And noodles.
Diverse lingue, orribili favelle, parole di dolore, accenti d'ira, voci alte e fioche e suon di manconelle.
Different languages, horrible speeches, words of pain, accents of anger, high and faint voices, and I play with her.
City speak is the local dialect of futuristic Los Angeles heard spoken by Gaff. City speak is largely the creation of Edward James Olmos, Mexican-American actor's own multicultural background, which includes Hungarian Jewish ancestry and a stint living in the Philippines. It's a curious mix of French, Japanese, German, and Chinese, with a bit of Hungarian and English.
He say you under arrest, Mr. Decker.
Got the wrong guy, pal.
Lofa, Nehojma, te vaya play, Kikan.
He say you Blade Runner.
Tell him I'm eating.
Captain Brian Toga. Renio Mayo.
Brian, huh?
The company logo remained, representing an owl. However, by inverting the logo, a trident becomes noticeable, the symbol of devil and hell.
It is important to note that the notion of more human than human appears to embody a similar sense of hubris to that displayed by Lucifer in the biblical narrative, ultimately leading to his downfall and condemnation to hell.
Part 3. More coincidences. In Jewish culture, there is a figure of golem. A golem is an animated anthropomorphic being in Jewish folklore. It is a creature created from mud or dust to serve the humans. It could also be an animal, like a calf or a sheep. By the way, do you remember what a replicant is? One of intriguing scenes is an airship blimp that announces the better life outside the planet. The local is curiously called Elysian, which is the word heaven to the Greeks. If paradise is in another place above Earth, it's fair to assume that here below is the hell.
A new life awaits you in the off-world colony. The chance to begin again in a golden land of opportunity and
Dante's fourth circle of hell is reserved for the avaricious and the prodigal. In the film Blade Runner, the area where Eldon Tyrell lives is designated as the fourth sector. The opulence is concentrated in his bedroom, which is an imitation of the papal bedroom.
Ed egli a me. Tutti quanti fuorguercisi della mente in la vita primaia, che con misura nullo spendio ferci.
It is a curious observation that the chamber of the most powerful figure in the film is designed as a bedroom of the Pope. It is important to bear in mind that one of Dante's most significant antagonists was Pope Boniface IX. It is also noteworthy that, in the film, Eldon Tyrrell, the industrial tycoon, was pictured as the Pope. Compare the clothes worn by the Pope and Eldon Tyrrell.
In a statement, production designer Lawrence G. Paul proffered the following information about the room. The room was furnished in a style reminiscent of the Pope's private chambers, with a profusion of ornate and eclectic decorative elements. The headboard only was a Chinese screen costing used $25,000, while the bed consisted of 2 king-sized beds, which created a religious tone. Notably, the room was lit by candles. A scene that has been removed from some versions shows Rachel with her arms crossed in the same position as the pharaoh in the sarcophagus. The meaning of crook and flail would be the crook refers to the merciful side, while the flail represents punishment. When pharaohs died, the crook and flail were crossed upon their chests to show the balance between power and restraint, mercy and severity as rulers of the kingdom.
It is important to note that throughout the film, there is an absence of scenes depicting the sun, with the sole exception being the sequence in which Deckard enters the Tyrrell building, which resembles a pyramid trunk.
Do you like our owl?
It's artificial?
Of course it is.
Must be expensive.
Very. I'm Rachel.
Deckard.
It seems you feel our work is not a benefit to the public.
Replicants are like any other machine. They're either a benefit or a hazard.
The impetus behind this discourse is twofold. Firstly, Egypt has a long-standing tradition of addressing this particular issue within the context of its mythology. Secondly, within the cinematic work Blade Runner, this concern is exemplified by the words of Roy Batty.
Morphology, longevity, in 7 days. Don't know. I don't know, sir.
Another interesting character.
The name Zora has its etymological roots in Arabic, a language imbued with profound cultural and historical import. Derived from the Arabic word for planet Venus, Zora evinces a mystique that spans centuries. In Roman mythology, Venus was the goddess of love, sex, beauty, and fertility. She was the Roman counterpart to the Greek goddess Aphrodite. However, the Roman Venus had many skills in addition to those attributed to the Greek Aphrodite. These included being the goddess of victory, fertility, and even prostitution. We could see Zora as Eve and the serpent who is the cause of the fall of mankind. We could see Jorah as Salome, a biblical figure. After Salome danced before Herod and his guests at a festival, he promised to give her whatever she asked. Prompted by her mother Herodias, who was infuriated by John's condemnation of her marriage, the girl demanded the head of John the Baptist on a platter.
Di fuor dorate sono, sì che li abbaglia, ma dentro tutte piombo, e gravi tanto, che Federigo le mettea di paglia. Oh, in eterno faticoso manto, noi ci volgemmo ancor pura man manca con loro insieme, intenti al tristo pianto.
Dante and Virgil reach the sixth ditch, that of the hypocrites. They parade slowly, dressed in heavy lead cloaks, gilded on the outside.
That burns twice as bright burns half as long, and you have burned so very, very brightly, Roy. Look at you. You're the prodigal son. You're quite a prize.
Salimmo su, e il primo e io secondo, tanto chi vidi delle cose belle che porta al ciel, per un pertugio tondo. E quindi uscimmo a riveder le stelle.
At Comedia, after each part poems which delineate the three kingdoms of hell, purgatory, and heaven, the word star concludes the chant. In Blade Runner, following Roy's slaying of his father in his bedroom, he gazes towards the roof from the elevator, and what he beholds is the sky and the stars.
I must say, in a conversation with John Wash, he told me that probably didn't use any sky in mind. But for me, it's so close to the sky in Los Angeles in July 1982 that for it is an amazing coincidence.
Pay attention. At Brian's office, there is a photo of hunting. Orion is a myth of a hunter, and Deckard is a replicant hunter.
Rachel is a famous character from the Bible who couldn't have children. Rachel in the movie was not human, but an artificial being, so she can't procreate, and only by a miracle they gave birth. Why? They above all were sterile and gave birth by miracle. Eventually, it is revealed that Officer K is indeed a replicant, and Morton condemns him for hunting his own kind. K doesn't consider them the same because his kind don't run. Because you've never seen a miracle.
How's it feel? Killing your own kind. I don't retire my own kind because we don't run. Only older models do. You new models are happy scraping the shit. Because you've never seen a miracle.
There's a date under the tree. It was the day Rachel died, and it explains why.
Nothing in a film with 700 layers is meaningless. There is a reason for the director of Blade Runner 2049 to choose a specific flower. The cowslip has a scientific name. Primula derives from the Latin primus, meaning first, and verus, which also comes from Latin and means true, which means the truly first one. Rachel is the very first one from their kind to be pregnant. It is noteworthy the similitude of the tree of biblic Rachel's grave. Located just outside of Bethlehem, the burial site is holy to Jews, Muslims, and Christians.
Dante e Virgilio sono nel fondo del fosso. O nono è l'ultimo circolo dell'Inferno, dove vengono puniti i traditori. Questo canto lo incontreremo nel primo tour, I traditori dei parenti.
Body identified with Tyrell, 25-year-old male Caucasian.
I've seen the attacks in fire. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10 hours a day. All moment. Time. Life. Here. Right. Time.
If Deckard is also a replicant, it would be reasonable to assume that he is a traitor. Therefore, it can be surmised that Sector 9 is his destiny, akin to the Circle of Nine, which is regarded as the worst region in hell. The work of a researcher-director, it is explain each layer of the sublime cake that Ridley Scott gave us as a gift. After of all evidences, no more coincidences, you should take your own conclusion.